Imagine you're watching a songbird bounce up and down on a rock near a stream. All of a sudden, the small passeriform jumps in. You might assume something is wrong. What does a little bug eater need to dive underwater for? The white-throated dipper defies convention by acting more like a waterfowl than their tree-perching kin. But such is the way of innovation in life, death, and taxonomy. Welcome back to Life, Death, and Taxonomy. It's your 30 minutes of interesting animal information. I'm Joe.
And I'm Carlos.
Thank you to Cassie for the creation of our theme song. To hear more of Cassie's music, please search Cassie Michelle on YouTube.
And thank you to Brian for the creation of this week's artwork. To check it out, you can visit us on Facebook or Twitter at LD Taxonomy, or visit us at our home on the web, ldtaxonomy.com.
And today we're talking about a bird that loves chocolate chip cookies. But more on that later. Milk's favorite bird. Do you know what we're talking about? What is Milk's favorite bird?
Is this just because of the coloration, or did I miss them? Did I seriously misread the major fact?
It's just great with milk.
Just take this living bird and dip it in some milk. And then crunch away. Cookie crisp.
Crunch away, crunch away, crunch away all.
Well, we're talking about the white-throated dipper. You gotta
dipper.
Dip it
in milk. It's Milk's favorite bird.
Sure. It's also known as the European dipper. For reasons we will discuss. That should be pretty obvious. But we're going to call it here, and this one's from Brian. River Song.
Nice.
Which is good. Doctor Who reference. Diver Dipper Down. Yeah. And my personal favorite, Bobbing Fisher.
I like that.
Searching.
River Phoenix would have worked.
Phoenix?
Because Phoenix is a bird and River Phoenix is a person. Joaquin Phoenix's late brother.
I had no idea about that. You took me down through several mental states. I was like, is this X-Men? Okay, no, it's not X-Men. Okay, it's Joaquin Phoenix? Brother? River? What's happening?
River Phoenix is a celebrity. He's dead, though.
Okay.
He famously died.
As celebrities do.
Very true.
But let's taxonomize this. You ready?
I sure am. Let's
perform one science on this. It's in a kingdom you know, love, and are in. That kingdom is Animalia. The phylum is Chordata. Class is Aves, because we're talking about a bird. And we're back to the biggest order of birds, Passeriformes. So this is crows and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
The family is Cinclidae. Yep. Cinclidae. The genus is Cinclus, and the species is, again, Cinclus. So it's Cinclus cinclus. Cinclidae,
really
Cinclus
specific
cinclus.
With the genus, you've got nowhere to go with the species.
Yeah, but even some, I guess, there's some species that are the only member of their genus, and yet it's still different from, the word is still different from the genus. But it's, since we're in the business of naming things, it's time for my favorite part of the show. Critter groups. The part of the show where I ask you, Joe, a question, and that question is the same every time. What is the name for a group of this animal, the white-throated dipper? Or what is the term of venery? Or what is a collective noun? Since the white-throated dipper is technically a tern, which is a kind of bird, we're going to be talking about terns. If you saw a group of terns, I love doing this for birds, by the way, because Ornithologists have come up with all kinds of fun ways to describe groups of birds, and it's not flock. I wish that ichthyologists would do the same thing for fish, because it's always a school of fish, and there's so many fish. But at least I guess there aren't that many fish watchers. It's much more cost prohibitive than to watch fish on a regular basis than it is to watch birds, at least with regularity. So, if you saw a group of terns, would you say it's A, an archetype of terns, B, a Baelish of terns, C, a cotillion of terns, or D, a dirk of terns?
Do you know what a cotillion is?
What?
Do you know what cotillion means?
I'm not answering any questions until you finish this.
I'm gonna go with cotillion. Final answer.
You're correct. How did you know?
Do you know what a cotillion is?
No, I don't know what a cotillion is. It means a group of terns.
Like a cotillion class is like, it's like it's where you learn like table manners and how to like formal dance. Like it's you learn how to be impolite. How to be polite in fancy society.
So how did that clue you into that being
birds
the
are
answer?
Fancy? And it seems like something that seems like a name that would be assigned to birds. Like a parliament of everything about birds is fancy.
That's not true.
Name a term of venery for birds that's not fancy.
A murder of crows?
Super fancy. A gentleman
gobble of turkeys?
Is that what it is? A gobble?
Yeah. It's one of many, so if we ever do turkeys, I have several to choose from, but I don't want to ruin any more.
Name 5.
They're not all fancy for sure, but clearly your method of figuring correlation worked out. Have I used Baelish before? I don't think so.
I don't think so.
I just made up that word. It probably means something.
I think it's like a celebrity name.
It's kind of food. It's food.
Oh, it's Littlefinger's name from Game of Thrones.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh. No, I was I don't know, that word just came into my head and I was like, oh, that's a goofy made up thing that sounds like it's a group of stuff. And then a dirk is like a knife. Yeah.
So all of that is to say that cotillion is the term of venery, and it just dripped with fancy bird stuff.
Okay, I'll remember to always put fancy bird things for critter groups for birds. This is gonna be a posh. I don't know enough fancy stuff. I didn't even know cotillion, so I'm surprised you knew that off the cuff.
There's a podcast where they read weird reviews of different places, and one of them was reviews of cotillion classes. So that's where I learned what cotillion was.
Interesting.
Everything I learned about cotillion, I learned against my will.
Under duress. Duress fancy learning. All right, you ready to talk about what this thing looks like?
Sure.
Before you dip it into milk and crunch on it? So it has an overall build of a sandpiper. If you look at it, kind of looks like a big sandpiper, which is one of my favorite Pixar shorts. It's Piper. Check it out. It's great. But so it's like a big sandpiper it has a rotund body with a.
Yeah, I was wondering, is it a chunky little bird, or is it always puffed up because it lives in cold climates?
I mean, I think it's just chunky. I don't think it constantly puffs itself up. That would be labor intensive.
Would it be? Have you ever puffed up?
Yeah. Forever? No. But also, like, it lives in cold climates, but it's not always cold, and it also lives in some not cold climates as well.
And it's still chunky in those not cold climates?
Yeah, I mean, it's all the same animal. Because it lives in, like, Spain and the stands and stuff like that. I guess it does get cold occasionally, but you wouldn't consider Spain to be a cold place. It's arid. So yeah, it has that rotund body with a prominent chest. Looks like it's puffing itself up. Long legs. Its feathers are black or dark brown along the back and tail and wings. And there's a small rufous patch, or Wikipedia describes it as a warm chestnut patch just underneath the shoulders. And then the head and face are brown, like a lighter brown than the shoulders, or than the back and wings. And of course, as the name suggests, the Bobby's throat is stark white. Bobby? The beak and legs are black. So it's basically if you saw it, you would think it's a chunky sandpiper.
Yeah.
But
I am seeing some like slender versions of the bird.
Are you sure they're not juveniles?
They may be juveniles before they've laid on the chonk.
As juveniles are wont as they usually are remiss is to lay on some chonk. But it is bigger than a sandpiper.
And smaller than a bread basket.
Oh, I thought it was bread box. But yeah, it is smaller than a bread box. Bigger than a sandpiper.
Oh, was that what you were going to say?
No, what is it? It's bigger than a bread box, smaller than a microwave?
Oh, I don't know.
Anyway.
Anyway, it's time for the official listener's favorite part of the show. Welcome to the beloved Measure Up segment, the part of the show when we present the animal's size and dimensions in relatable terms through a quiz that's fun for the whole family. It's also part of the show that's introduced by you when you send an audio of yourself saying, singing, or chittering. The words measure up into ldtaxonomy@gmail.com. We don't have a new Measure Up intro this week.
Bummer.
But that means we get to hear from an animal, and Carlos has to guess what it is. I went with a particular theme in this. So, without further ado, the listener's favorite part of the show.
Hey, Jinxie.
Human.
Is that A, a snow leopard, B, a snowy owl, C, a snowshoe hare, or D, an Arctic fox?
I see the theming you went with.
Chilly animals.
Snow leopard, snowy owl.
It's so hot in here, I have to
Snowshoe.
think cold thoughts.
Hare, and then Arctic fox. What animal would people whistle at? Probably not a leopard. Could be an owl. People whistle at birds. Probably not a hare. I'm between fox and owl. I'm going to go with the snowy owl. Final answer.
Final answer, snowy owl.
Yes.
The correct answer was Arctic fox.
Ah.
I realized she says the animal's name is Jinxie, and I'm like, oh man, that screams fox name.
Oh, I wasn't paying attention to what she was saying.
Yeah, I'm glad. Because there's no owl named... Well, an owl maybe. An owl is a nighttime creature. Could be called Jinx. But there's no rabbit or leopard named Jinx.
You don't
leopard.
You don't know that.
Yeah,
You name whatever you want, whatever you want.
It really just excludes the hare. I feel like hares...
Harry Potter named his snowy owl Hedwig, so...
Well, that's because everything in the Rowling universe has to have a weird name like that.
It's Hedwig.
Hogwarts.
It's foot shoe. It's hand glove. All the owls, my favorites. Chest shirt.
Let's talk length.
Leg pants. That one's a dumb one.
The white-throated dipper is 18 centimeters or 7.1 inches long. Pretty big. Bigger than a sandpiper.
Yes, definitely.
How many white-throated dippers go into the thickness of I always look up the how to pronounce these and then forget by the time we record.
Sweden.
Jostedalsbreen, Norway's
Uh-huh.
largest glacier.
Oh.
Here's a hint. The glacier is located in Vestland County in Fjord, Norway. Fjord, Vestland. When it comes to Norway, that's pretty light, pretty easy to pronounce. And it's not just Norway's largest glacier, it's the largest in continental Europe. The glacier covers 487 square kilometers. And you're looking for the tasteful thickness of it.
I'm going to say 70 feet. I don't know. I've never actually seen a glacier. So I imagine there's just a wall of ice. It's moving down.
A wall of ice and fire.
Oh, yeah. I'm just going to go with 70 feet. It's probably not less, but it could definitely be more. All right. I'll go with 118. 120. Just round it off.
120 dippers.
Yes.
Final answer.
Yes.
The correct answer is 3,333 dippers.
Oh, it's close.
Jostedalsbreen is 600 meters thick, which is close to 2,000 feet.
Okay. Can I change my answer?
No?
Please.
You can pray you do well on the next one, which is, let's talk weight.
Please, Lord, let me do well on this next one.
2.2 ounces or 62.3 grams. How many white-throated dippers go into the heaviest shoes ever walked in? Here's a hint.
Okay.
The record was set by an American. Heck yes. He's a career record breaker named Ashrita Furman. Furman currently holds 531 records and has broken more than 600. The shoes were worn in Pottersfield, London in 2010. London is in the UK, by the way.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. You're like in those movies where they have an establishing shot of what's clearly London, and then they put London on the screen, and then UK. It's like, oh, that London. Gotcha. I'm pretty sure there's a London in Georgia, but it's this one. Heaviest shoes.
Speaking of the UK, this animal was suggested by Natalie from...
Oh, I thought
the Across the Ages podcast. So she's from the UK, and there's an episode on shoes that she did. So this is a perfect homage.
I imagine just this guy with concrete blocks on these shoes and just like kind of scooting backwards. But that's probably not what you need to get the Guinness need to do in order to get the world record for walking in the heaviest shoes. You get some cement shoes. Means the mob's gonna drown you. I'll say both shoes.
What? No, it's just
both or one shoe.
Oh no, I have no idea if it's both or one.
Oh, that's gonna make a difference whether I double it or not. I'll let you do some research.
You know how the Guinness Book of World Records web pages are incredibly vague?
No, I've never been on the site.
The heaviest shoes walked in weighed blank, and that's it.
All right, well, at least it's plural, so shoes. That sounds like you're talking about both shoes. When really all the work comes down to being able to lift one foot with half of that weight. So I'm going to say 200 pounds. 100 pounds for each shoe. No, that's not enough. 150 for each shoe. So 300 total. So I'm going to say 2,180 white-throated dippers go into the weight of this man's Air Jordans.
It's crazy. Every article I read, like, they're not specifying that detail, that particular one. And I think it's because the Guinness World Record book didn't specify, so nobody knows.
Nobody else was there. Nobody else can do original research on this. Tweet the guy.
Okay. Final answer?
Yep. 2,180.
The correct...
He could have shoes that were basically just a box of 2,180 birds.
The correct answer was 2,349.
Whoa, so close.
The shoes were 146.5 kilograms.
Okay.
Or 330 or 23 pounds.
I was 23 pounds off.
That's such a shame because I think the way he walks in them, he just barely lifts. He mostly slides them.
Yeah, 150 pounds on a foot with like your ankle. That's a lot.
Yeah, so like I was thinking they're 300 pounds. Like, how is this possible? And the road looks slick, so it's just like he's just sliding them. But if they're less, then okay, yeah, they'd have to be. But that reporting is not good. Bad reporting.
I want a picture of these.
There's video of it too. They're big. They add like probably a foot to his height.
This guy's having a blast.
Maybe 6 inches.
This is his whole deal.
But it's like a platform.
But like, this guy doesn't look particularly strong. I feel like he gets the award just for having owned the heaviest shoes.
He gets them for walking in them.
But like Hulk Hogan could walk in much heavier shoes and get the...
I don't get why... I mean, I guess there's a ton of world records. Why wouldn't they write, like, how far did he walk in them? What were the rules for the heaviest shoes to walk in? Oh, come on. Anyway. That's all I got for that. Do you have any fast facts before we get into the major fact?
This guy kind of looks like Martin Short. Sorry. Yes, I do. So, the white-throated dipper lives in... It has a kind of peculiar habitat and range. Well, specifically range. Because it's not just one swath. It's in scattered... locales across Western and Southern Europe. So that basically it has a population in every Western European country and most of the Eastern European countries, including the British Isles and Ireland and Scandinavia. It is Norway's national bird, in fact. It's got populations in Russia, as well as the Near East, in Turkey, Iran, a few of the stands. So it stretches from the Middle East all the way up to like Sweden, Norway, and the British Isles. So it's all over the place. Its diet consists of worms, aquatic.
Diet of worms.
Yes, it does.
It can't recant.
A diet of worms, worms, because here it stands. It can do no other, except to eat insect larvae, beetles, clams, snails, frogs, and shrimp. You'll notice a unique aquatic vibe to its palate. And before I say anything else, I'll let you go ahead and take over with a major fact.
Okie dokie. Natalie, by the way, said that this is the UK's only aquatic songbird. Aquatic, you said? How could this be? Well, here we go. If the white-throated dipper was a toy, he'd be relegated to the island of misfit toys. Because
Gracious.
the dipper loves to spend his days by running rivers and streams. You may find him perched on a rock that's emerging from the water, where he will perform a small, bouncy dance that's adorable to see.
And he uses this dance to worship the King Griffin moon racer.
Excuse me, what?
King Moonracer, the king of the island of misfit toys.
Yeah. Why did he have such a cool name?
Because the toys are happy here.
George Takei.
He does sound like George
It's not,
Takei.
I don't think, but
it's definitely not.
These chubby little birds look like your typical garden seed eater. They don't have the webbed feet of a waterfowl or the long legs of a stork, and yet they get most of their subsistence, or subsistence. That works.
Yeah, there you
I
go.
meant sustenance from the water. They wade into streams to catch minnows or water bugs, but their aquatic activities don't stop there. They will also fully submerge their little bird bodies underwater for some tasty morsels. They may hop from a rock or the bank into the water, but they may also dive with the spirit and determination of an eagle. The strange sight of a small bird walking or diving into the water on purpose has created some legends about this feathered fisher of bugs.
You'd think that it would be really, really, really hard for a bird that size to stay underwater.
Well, part of the legend about this bird is that they are said to defy gravities and the laws of buoyancy. Gravities, all of them.
All the gravities, all 6 gravities. They made a Marvel movie about that.
They are thought to defy buoyancy by walking into a river and hopping around on the river bottom without being swept away or floating.
Like the pirates in Pirates of the Caribbean, like the evil pirates.
However, this is an inaccurate assumption. They can stand on a river bottom when they need to, but they do so by gripping the bottom with their feet. So it's more like they're grabbing onto soil and rocks and things on the ground and defying buoyancy. When they move around underwater, they'll swim like your puffin or any other underwater bird. Swim like they're flying. They've become so good at farming rivers and streams for resources that they don't have to fly south like other birds when the winter months cover everything in snow. But some birds will fly south or descend to lowlands of their regions. But wherever there is open running water, you may find dippers through the winter months. With winter habits, the winter habits of a dipper may vary on an individual basis. So some enjoy snowy banks and crisp streams, while others just say, yeah, I'll fly south, whatever. You know, there's streams down south as well.
Crisp.
So aquatic life seems to be inborn in dippers. Even young featherless hatchlings will dive into the water when they're threatened.
This is so... This all works toward that... the Pixar short I was talking about, Piper, where he learns how to be an aquatic bird.
Yeah, that's true. Not even humans are inborn with the ability to swim.
Yes, they are. Babies swim on instinct.
Without dying?
No, but they do...
I guess everything then is born with the instinct to swim. If not, dying isn't part of the equation.
You can swim for a while without dying, as long as you until you run out of breath.
So we just teach babies how to swim longer,
or swim well enough to keep your head above the water. But an infant's instinct when submerged is to A, hold their breath, and B, to paddle.
Well, okay, you will have a brand new baby pretty soon. You have a toddler already. So you can test this.
Well, like water births. They do that. Water births.
Sure.
And you've seen the Nirvana album cover. Babies are just good swimmers, all of them.
Well, I guess they do swim for 9 months, technically.
I guess float around, yeah. Well, you actually, it's an instinct to move your arms and legs in the water as an infant, and then actual swimming has to be taught. But yes, anyway, it is an instinct. It's just not, it's odd because it's not effective enough to keep a baby alive.
Well, it hopefully is for hatchlings because they're trying to escape danger, not jump into it.
Right.
So if you're super into nice, serene nature documentaries, there are a ton of beautifully shot white-throated dipper videos on YouTube. For some reason, it seems like these guys are like really popular among nature photographers. Like they're a good trophy to have if you get a really good shot of these dippers dipping. And if you go to ldtaxonomy.com, I'll link to a really nice documentary by a guy named Gunnar Dressler on YouTube, and you can see some serene shots of a dipper in action. But that's all I got.
Nice. All right, that was the white-throated dipper, Milk's favorite bird. So for you out there in Podcastia, stay anchored, go where the getting's good, and dance like nobody's watching, like Bobbing Fisher here in Life, Death, and Taxonomy.
Hey Taxonomy Titans, thanks for listening to the episode. Just a few quick things. As always, reviews and social media engagement are greatly appreciated, but recommending the podcast to friends is the best way to help us grow. If you'd like some LDT flavored merch, check out teespring.com/stores/taxonomy-tees. That's it. Thanks for listening all the way to the end.
Life, Death, and Taxonomy is my favorite in the world podcast.
I demand that you change the facts to suit my narrative, please.